Greetings, everybody. Welcome to session 4, the last official teaching session of this unit. There's signs of great joy here as that's revealed. Is this the last unit for your diploma? Or are you still going with?
I was finishing off with what's her face, Alison.
What's her face? That's on the recording. How disgraceful. Okay.
Well, thank you, Bob, for watching
Here's my.
Stephen's diploma just went for another 6 months.
Oh, that's cruel. Here's my first ice-breaking exercise, which is background noise. I want you to take the whiteboard, the text tool on the whiteboard, and I want you to think of all the possible noises that I have heard in the background over the years of doing a webinar. So take the text tool and tick on there all the noises you reckon I've heard facilitating a. Yes, I certainly have lots of those, heard lots of that. And Catherine as well. And Stephen. And Chin. But no, it's not just people. There's lots of things I've heard over the years as well. Washing machine, yeah. Nothing like doing a webinar from the laundromat. I've actually done a webinar in a car when it was driving. I wasn't driving, of course, at the same time. Swearing. I have heard swearing in the background. Yeah, I have heard swearing in the back. Dogs barking, absolutely. And there's a golden rule. Where I live in Ballarat, I've got some dogs next door. Even though I've got a buffer between me and the next door neighbour, the dogs are silent until the webinar begins, and then the dogs fire up. It's almost like they smell the webinar in their ear. Cheering hawks for premierships. Yep, we take a week off. Drink bottles opening, I have heard. And I have heard clinking of glasses. Sleet, absolutely. I've got photos of that. That's very true. Domestic violence. I've heard fighting in the background. People yelling on the phone and forgetting to turn the microphone off. Children wanting to. Yes, I have definitely heard that. And I've heard kids being told to shut up. But I think that's they think the mic's off, and a rumpy pumpy. Now, that's not something that I've heard, I don't think. I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm not sure what that is. I'm a very good Anglican boy, so it's something that I would have. All right, thanks for that. That's before it gets kind of out of control. These are all things that I've heard, or a limited number of things that I've heard, and they're generally as a result of people just leaving the microphone on and participants. And this is a great problem because any little noise that you hear when you do a webinar can be really distracting to you. It's just really kind of tough. Flushing toilets, yes, I have heard that. Sorry? Yes, someone opening a big parcel. Opening it up. I've heard delivery men and women signing off for things. I've heard metal water jugs like tinking and that beep 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 thing happening all the time. YouTube clips. Yeah, I'm not going to touch that one. Welcome, Catherine. Photocopy. Yeah, you name it. All of which says that people are incredibly engaged in my session. That's what it's all about. Okay. I've got a bit of info in here about troubleshooting audio, but I think I did this last week, didn't I? I talked to you about. You won't have to worry about that next week because I'll take care of that. But that slide there, that if you think that you're going to go on and do some of this stuff in your own class, it's kind of an important thing to be able to know how to solve your students' problems with audio. And I think you all know that the first place to send somebody, including yourself, is that little cog in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen in Collaborate. And if you click on that, you'll see there's one there called set up your camera and microphone. I was talking about audio problems and I clicked on the audio test and it knocks out your microphone. I forgot about that. But in there is the majority of reasons that people tend to have problems is that they've got two sources of audio. So like I've got this thing sitting into my computer. It's like can you see that? The girls and boys at home, it's like a headset. So it's a connection to USB, but it's also in the computer, there's also an audio default setup. So usually it'll be that it's set to the computer one, but not the USB or any external. So going there helps them to kind of set that and fix that up. And then what I've got here is your audio system from Windows that you might often have to go into. So this happened to me tonight because when I plugged into this computer, it didn't recognize my headset. So I had to go into my sound settings. I think I've got them here. So let me just share the screen and I can show you this. And then this will be the sum total knowledge of what we can do really. Hopefully that's not blurring on your screen and going crazy. Is that sharing on your screen? Can you see that? No. What's going wrong?
Not yet.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I've had week from hell with a client, so I'm a bit battered tonight. So this isn't where we want to go. But where we want to go is your control panel. This is Windows. Good man. Thanks, Michael. So Michael's on the ball. He's got the emoticons going, giving me that feedback. That's 10 points, Gryffindor there. So into your settings here, this is about as technical as we need to get, because if this doesn't work, then it comes down to having the wrong plugs, usually in the wrong place, or that they've sat on their headset and it's not working. They're the three things. It's not working, not set up properly in Collaborate, or it's not set up in their control panel, or they've got the wrong plug. Once you get to that point, there's not much more you can do, and you've got to make a decision about whether you hold the session up for everybody else. So then if we go, welcome Roger. See under hardware and sound, if you click on that, it gives you all these millions of options that if you touch you can destroy your computer, of course. And you've got sound and custody to manage audio devices. I'm sure Chin's all over this because he's pretty good on this stuff. Greetings. And you can see here what it pops up. Hopefully you can see that little pop window that's popped up on the left-hand side. All the connections that are, all the playback that we've got. So you can see that there's, I don't even know what that top one is. So let's click on sounds. No, sorry, playback. And you see that the one at the bottom has got a tick on it. That's the one that's selected. That's my headset. And so that's the one that's enabled. And the one above it, this one here, is the default computer speaker. So I override that with the headset. But so what will normally happen is the student will have a headphone in or they won't, and they just won't have the correct sound input selected. So you just tell them to select that and choose properties. And the best way to do that is to do application. Hi, Edwina. The best way to do that is to do application sharing, because the time you use a text box, you never know. But if they can't hear you, then you've got all. So you can see it's a problem. Tell them to ring you. That's the best bet. All right. Greetings, Tim. They're all starting to arrive, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, geez, I'm having a bad night, I tell you. All right. Now, if you're a Windows user, things are pretty straightforward. You've only really got this option under your properties for sound. It'll list everything that you've got connected, and you just click and choose it. And it's really accessible and really easy to get to. just off your icon, top of the window. So it's much easier than PC to get that right. And generally, you plug in something, it'll generally play, and you'll generally find it without too many worries. It's the Windows hardware that gives us a bit of stick. All right. We've had a look at that. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple of exercises just to get you back in touch with the tools before next week. And I'll give you a bit of feedback on the templates stuff. Really, really looking forward to next week. I've given feedback to everybody who submitted on the board. And, oh, thumbs down. Oh, why's the thumbs down, Martin?
I won't be here.
You won't be here next week?
No.
You could join in with Janet. You could join in with Janet. She's over there. Or she's somewhere there. Yeah. Well, we'll have to organise you, and because because Zoe and Janet both can't make it either, so we'll make a session for you to come back.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you can get that template up, that'd be great. Then we can we hit the ground running when we get back. We'll make a time. All right, Catherine, that's looking very good. There we go in the background. So yes, put that emoticon if you're not sure where that is. Alongside that chat box, you can see there's a little arrow on the right-hand side, and you can click on that, and you can put in the emoticon. There we go. The emoticons seem kind of infantile and childish, but in an event that you are in there and you want to know something from people, you can ask the question, just give me an emoticon, that will give me feedback. So if I ask you something like, can you hear me? Then it's much easier to get everybody to just quickly do that. Or, and it takes 1 or 2 people to be able to do that, and then everybody's on the same page. Good stuff. All right, so it looks like we've, okay. The other one is the hands up thing. Depending on how you want to facilitate, and everybody's different. You can see there's a hand thingy up there, and somewhere I can tell who's put their hand up. Oh, I see, it doesn't give me the order. That's a rip-off. Okay, there you go, I can see you all putting your hand up. And then you just need to click it again to put it down. So as a facilitator, one of the central questions that you have, and because it'll ding in my ear, you probably can't hear that, but when you're moderators, you'll hear a noise, and that'll indicate to you that you've got someone putting their hand up. So thinking about managing these sessions, you've got to decide when you're going to take a question. So some facilitators are really vehement. They won't take a question until they've finished a particular set of slides or done something. So go through that and then ask for questions and won't take any questions before that. Other idiots like me take a question at any time and we'll answer it. And so you can't win because horses for courses. I've had evaluation on my webinars that said, oh, he's all over the place because he answers questions when they arise. And I couldn't follow the thread. But at the same time, the asking a question is often, for me, is a bit out checking the understanding and getting their head around it. So you have to make that decision. There's no right or wrong when and where you'll take questions and how you'll handle them. And that's where the hand up thing, you say, I'll take questions, put your hand up. So you put your hand up. Yes, Mike, what's your question? Someone said there'd be chips. Where are they? So it could be something simple as that. Okay. The other one is that is a poll. Let's see if I can. I'm notoriously bad with polls, so let me just see if I can do this. A few of you mentioned that you wanted to run a quiz while you're in the virtual classroom session. In the old Blackboard Collaborate, we had a magnificent quiz tool, which they've taken out now. Welcome, Edwina. So if you want to do a quiz, some people suggested, I'll take people out of the virtual classroom and I'll go to Blackboard and we'll do a quiz there. Now we can certainly do that, and I reckon if you're running a session and you're running it as part of your own blended learning, that's a great idea because you can get fantastic evidence, cross evidence between your students participating in your classroom and in your LMS, and you've got, you've scaffolded off what you're doing. But you've only got 15 minutes in the thing that you're doing with me. So my suggestion is that if you want to do a quiz, put a slide together like this, hopefully a little bit more better presented, and then provide students with a poll, which I did tell you I'm notoriously bad at. How many choices got there? 4. And then I think that you can you see that poll on the screen? So now if I pull that out of the way a little bit, or you need to pull that out of the way a little bit if you can't see those choices, then if you make a choice as to which one of those you can want to do. So it's in the way. That's always been the bloody problem with this thing. I don't think I can drag it out of the way. But anyway. And so because it's a quiz, because it's really a quiz question masking as a poll, there's no right or wrong answer, so you can just sort of teach to it. So I think everybody's voted. So then I can show you the responses to that. And interestingly, only 3 of you got the right answer. So that shows that we probably need to come back for a 6th session just to sort out some of that key knowledge. So yeah, think about that, whether you want to use that instead of a randomly person. Chin, now you're a mathematician, Chin. I know you love your maths. So if you're randomly pressing, what are the odds of getting the right answer? This is one of the great problems with quizzing. 1 in 4, is that right? Okay. The other thing is, these questions are random as well, remember, that if you want to ask people a question, there was Chin. Yes, Chin, I'm disappointed in you. You didn't read it. So that's the problem with random and quick. Okay, so the other thing is that people might ask a question of you in the chat box. And so one good technique you can use to give yourself a little bit of room in there, and also give yourself a bit more opportunity to get something a bit deeper from the answers than something about the whiteboard that makes people write fairly simple stuff. And so Zoe, you've broken the rule because it says there, type in the text box, you've got a minute, and then you ask people to push enter when they say go. So I'll give you a minute to do that. I'll count a minute. So chuck in the text box. What's your teaching practice going to look like in 2000 and some of you might be answering hospitality, but sorry?
I think it's the long way ahead, but it's not.
Well, it's wondering will we even here. So this idea is that people don't actually, I haven't said go yet. The idea here is that you've got time to write without the encumbrance of seeing what other people have written. So you write and then you push enter to let that stuff go in. Now you have to train people to do this because I haven't said go yet and everybody's posted. So, did I? Did I say go? Oh, I thought I said you might go into hospitality, but that's all right. The keywords there. That's Michael Barrett at home. Yes, you'll be saying that. Yeah, we'll be saying sorry to our students as well. So the question doesn't matter here. It's just really just the kind of activity that you can do about tricks. It takes a while to track people to this, but this is a really old trick that comes from the days when we didn't have microphones and we didn't have audio systems and we just had text chat. And that's all we had. In some ways, they were better sessions, but that's another story. Okay. All right. This is a serious question. I want you to think about looking ahead to your session when you're. Oh, yeah, it'd probably still be face to face. There might be a bot by then. Catherine, you might be some sort of 3D animated bot, or you, because you're in the microbiology field, you might morph into robotics and be sort of a Borg. You know,
Catherine could be a bot. You could integrate both a robot into her exoskeleton.
Into a DNA, yeah. Yeah. So we're talking crap here. So there's a question for you. This is a serious one, unlike the last one. Just thinking ahead to next week, getting in here and driving the classroom, what are the things that you can see going wrong? So take a text tool, either one, text chat or whiteboard, and tell me, yeah, okay, what sort of technical issues, Stephen? Technology. What sort of technology, Steve? Roger, let's drill down. Type it in. Type it in. Type it in. Oh yes, lose my material. That'll be my fault, I think. Yeah. What sort of technical issues keep you awake at night, Edwina? Apart from Quitch. You're a Luddite, but that's okay. Do you know? I've got a theory. I've got a theory about that. Some of the easiest people I've taught have been Luddites. They've also been very frustrating. Virtual things, these bloody... Yeah, but what are you thinking could go wrong for you when you're in here next week? Like, what did you say? You said technical issues. Students dying. Michael.
With the electrical trade,
What do you mean? Go on, Michael.
Sorry, with the electrical trade, very hard to do it on a home base or something like that. It really needs face-to-face to guarantee they understand the safety issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I would reckon with your area, you know, I would think that the only time you probably go into this arena would be when you're kind of doing some underpinning knowledge, and that'd be about it, I would think. I've got a bit of background in your area, so sounds good. We're getting some good stuff here. Yep. Not knowing the whole class is chatting. Yes. Well, look, I tell you what, that's a really good one. I don't know who put this one up, but not knowing who the whole class is just chatting and not listening. And so, you know, we're operating in a bit of a freak zone here as far as facilitating goes, because I can see you, but I can't see you, what's going on. And that makes it easier because I don't know what you're doing, so there's no kind of anxiety about you're not paying attention. But here I can see people not paying attention. So when you're facilitating, it's really kind of nerve-wracking. Think, oh, do I speed up? Do I slow down? What do I kind of do? Half the session solving tech issues. Yeah, look, it's an absolute issue with some sessions. I can remember a horror session I had with a group where there was 20 people in the group, and the session was an hour and a half, and 45 minutes of it was lost in getting people's microphone working. But that won't happen to us because we'll be in and we'll be testing the mics early, so we get that going. Slow computers. Yep, I was on this computer before and it's very slow. Not getting the rhythm of communication right. Yeah, that's a really good point. We'll talk a bit about that later on. Just finding the right words and finding the right intonations and stuff. Heckling. I hope there's heckling. Dogs barking. God, you guys are stinging smell holidays. Teaching the wrong audience. Yeah, well, that's an occupational risk with this particular activity. And Tim's put in there, have constant continuous projects running concurrently with instruction. Tim, is this the one in relationship to 2022?
Yep.
Instruction. Self-direction of projects increasing at every project to it. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think that's the kind of aim of. I think that's kind of the aim of what we're kind of doing. I think. I know in the corporate learning and development world, they always talk about students solving their own problems, staff solving their own problems, being able to delve into resources to kind of do that. And I often think in vet, that's the gap. You know, like there's an assumption in learning and development corporate that they've got that skill. So yeah, I think there is a real gap there about vet preparing learners to solve their own problems and curate their own information and get it going there, I think. And you know, when students work in projects, they learn heaps. No, they really do. Beautiful. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you I'm going to show you the next couple of minutes how to make a slide, okay? Because I just spat this out on the train this afternoon after reading last night. Some thoughts about the templates from all your stuff, because I've seen everybody's. And there's lots of ambition in your plans. And so part of me thinks I've given feedback, be free to ignore it because you're senior educators. And so where I've given advice, take it with a grain of salt. If you want to suck it and see, let's see how it goes. Blows up in your face, we'll fight it. No, I mean, if it blows up in your face, we'll see how you handle it. We'll just see how you recover, because it's contingency, so it's no drama. So I've got some advice based on some of the things people have said around that. But the most important one is this one on the screen. This is the one that's important. I've saw in a couple of kind of templates things that I'll leave it open for discussion and respond to the questions that I will get. But you may be better to think about being quite direct and having questions up your sleeve and leading the conversation with your learners rather than hoping that will kind of come up. Because you can see the sort of stuff that Stephen comes up with. And so that's why, the cheeky comments there, and so you can see that you can't leave it to chance. You've got to direct it. So this stuff's just a bit of advice as to how to make the ambition you've got work. So I've already talked about quizzing and using the poll. So I think you can have yes or no. Let me just check on that because I couldn't remember in the train. Yeah, you can have yes or no, or 2, 3, 4, or 5 options. Like a multiple choice kind of thing. And so do as I did and put the question on the slide so that you can just present the slide, present the poll, and if you can use someone use the poll. Another trick around using quizzing is to do this. I've asked that question there before I use the polling. Another way, which is often a little bit better, you certainly can. I think that's what you say to people as a final option. You say, use a text box if you can't. But it's nice to see that collective poll thing, the whole. Because if you let's do it this one, use a rectangle and draw around the answer you think is correct. Then it becomes quite a little bit of tactile, but really highly visual as to what people can kind of see as their answer. The poll is, you won't be able to see it there, but whoops. And I absolutely don't know what I've done then. I told you, just down here, and see polling there, and then you have to choose. But it only gives you, all it gives you is a tool for students to be able to respond. It doesn't give them the question as such. I just saw myself on the video and found it quite confronting. Just lost my PowerPoint. Here we go. Yep. So on this one, so yeah, think about that. You can always use, you can use dots, whatever. Take whatever you get. I think, fair enough, Catherine. Take whatever you can get, and if you can get a dot, you can get a square, you can get a chat. Take it. Just in your head, you've got to collate all that. That's why, yeah, it's all good. Now I saw Chin say something there. They can also post a response on the interactive whiteboard. They certainly can. They can draw it, put a tick next to it, whatever. Now we're talking. That's a good point. Because, yeah, unlike the earlier version of this program, we can't download a PDF copy of what students have done on here, which was used to be quite good. This would be a great tool. You could download you're talking about your projects. We often had projects where students be working progressively in groups, have their own whiteboard. We could download the whiteboard in between sessions, re-upload it, and keep working on it again, and then away we go. But that's not. There we go. Now we've got the get it all out, draw all over it, get it out. Now some people don't like this. You're doing this to their stuff, but luckily I grew up on a farm and seen a lot, and so I'm not too worried.
I seem to lost my writing tools.
Have you?
Yeah,
They might have been banned. Are they back? Are they back?
no, they're gone.
I haven't banned you.
Why? What did I do?
You're in crisis.
I feel like
Are they hit in there?
I feel voiceless.
You have broken it.
I
No, they have gone.
just
You've got 'em.
away for a second and
Maybe come in and come out again.
like leave. All right.
There's a brief cameo there from
My text.
Sean. Yeah, sometimes these things happen. That's good. That's good. Good to better to happen now than next week. or week after. Okay, let's get back to this. Now, if you had sharing video, there's a couple of things together here, and I'll come back and share something with you. Welcome back, Zoe. Some of you propose showing video in the session, and I think that's an okay idea, but make sure it doesn't eat up too much time in your session, and make sure it's a short one. YouTube has a start from feature in the videos when you play them. If you want to say the bit you want to show in a longer video is sort of 2 minutes 40, you can input that into the YouTube so that you can start that video from there rather than in the middle. But there's no real way of sharing video inside Collaborate anymore. And if you application share video, then the audio doesn't come through, and the video will look kind of like this. It's kind of stilted, and because it's trying to feed it, and it'll break people's connections and all sorts of things. So take the link from the YouTube video and put it into a file, text file or Word document, and then paste it in when you're ready to kind of sell it. So if you are using a video and you think it's really important, it might be something that's worth integrating into your pre-virtual classroom activity. I only have a CD.
So if I've got the URL embedded
Microphone.
my
You need to put your mic on so people come home can hear you.
Sorry.
You're forgetting there's people at home. Mic on, please. Get that mic in. Or you can come and take these. Come and ask the question here. Here. Yep, a good man. Got a question, we've got to put his mic on. So I only have a CD with video on it. So, Catherine, are you thinking that you might rip it?
I've only got a copy of my video on a DVD.
Okay.
Or on a what do you call it? Yes, a stick. A USB stick.
Oh, so you've got the video file itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how would I do that?
Well, you can upload those. So
I don't really want to put it onto YouTube.
no, you could upload it. I think we can upload it to Collaborate. Let's have a look. No, it's only PDF and PowerPoints now. You used to be able to do it. Okay, well it really have to be online somehow to see it. So you could potentially put it in something like a Dropbox and share it that way. Or you could upload it to Blackboard if it's a video file into the discussion forum for your pre-activity. Oh, there we go. Yes, Stephen, you had a question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, good man, putting that in.
If we have the URL to YouTube embedded through to PowerPoint,
Ah, good question.
can we just launch it to PowerPoint, or should maybe pre-read?
Good question. Very good question. 10 points. Stephen's question was, because it cut out a little bit, was can we put the link to the video in our PowerPoint? And the short answer is no, because the PowerPoint, when it gets uploaded to Blackboard Collaborate, is essentially gets crunched into a series of images. So any animations, cool animations or links that you have in there just get throttled out of it, and so you can't actually use it. So if it's a YouTube video and you want to show it in the virtual classroom, the easiest thing to do is drop the link into it and let people click on it and load. And I've got a slide to talk about that a little bit later. As for Catherine, yeah. As for your problem, Catherine, I think I would, if it's a video that's like an MP4 or something like that, you could probably upload it to Blackboard and put in the virtual classroom activity. Have people have a look at it before that session and then talk to it in there. That'll make your life maybe a bit easier. So I think that might appear somewhere. I'll come back to that question. That's breakout rooms. A couple of you wanted to use breakout rooms. My first instinct was crucifix. But then I thought, bugger it, let's give it a go. I think if you're going to use breakout rooms, I think there was 2 of you that suggested this. I think Tim, you might have been one, and I'm just battling to think who the other one was. I think it might have been Michael or Roger suggested having and make a. So I love the guts there. I think go and have a bit of a practice at you probably won't be able to though unless you've got people in there. All I'm saying there is have your instructions that you want people to do in a text file so that when you put people into the breakout groups, you can visit each of those rooms really quickly and paste it in so that, once you go into the breakout room, you lose the slide that would have the question on it. And they get their own blank whiteboard that they can then work on. So, and then ask them for some verbal communication. Go in there, paste it. You've already explained it. Then you've broken them up. Reconfirm what that is. Paste it in. Go and say you're onto it. Boom. Yes, they are. Application sharing. There was a couple of you suggested you're going to share a screen, some software, or I can't actually kind of remember, but I remember thinking what it was. You kind of have the software open on your desktop because, as you've seen last week, when you go to share something, I'll show the people here. When you go to share something, the first thing it asks you is, do you want to share your whole screen, say desktop and all, or do you want to share just an application, so just the Word document or PowerPoint, not PowerPoint, but say Photoshop, that's what it was. Amy was going to share Photoshop. Just choose that application, and the application fills the screen rather than the whole kind of thing. Now, when you do that and you switch to the screen sharing, just in your head count to 5, because that gives time for all that massive data that's on your screen from your software to go to other people's screens and load. Because you notice it'll come in sort of like bit by bit, like really like an old-fashioned computer trying to run Windows 3.1. So if you count to 5, it won't be so much of a problem in here, but people at home, you don't know what their connections are going to be like. And the other thing is you won't be able to see the chat window when you're in there. So you'll hear people when people put a chat message in, you'll hear that boop in your ear and you think, oh God, they're asking a question. So you have to ask people if they've got a question to use their microphone. If you're in there, ask them to use their mic if they've got a question. And if you say that, that means that you're happy for someone to say, excuse me, I've got a question. You're happy to be interrupted if you do that. Or you wait until the end. Remember, these are the management choices that you kind of make. I think we've already talked about PowerPoint slides and quizzes and polls and whiteboard activities. And we've seen some examples of that, so I think you'd be right with those. Monitoring. I think we talked about emoticons before. They're good to give you really quick feedback. So if I ask you something like, are you ready to move on to the next slide? Then, it's so much quicker for people to give us feedback like that. Just quick, it's immediate. And if you ask people, can you see the screen? And only 3 people put their thumbs up, that's enough. You know that they can see the screen. Chin, what are you doing there? A couple of cutlasses there. Michael, you've been in the spa again. Look at those red rosy cheeks.
Yeah. How did Chin get that emoticon?
Oh, he must have. Chin, you better tell us that. He's got some trick, I reckon. He's pretty sneaky. That's why he doesn't come in face to face. Is it one of those? He's making us guess because he's not going to answer. But it looks good. Come on, Chin, fess up. Is it one of those? Are you cut and paste from a website? Are you willing to share it? This is innovation, mate. I'm prepared to pass you on this one. Oh, emojis. Good stuff. All right. So if we click on that link, what do we have to do? We have to copy and paste them. Oh, look at all those. Hours of useless fun there. Look at that. This one looks good. Oh, look at that. Oh, good man. You're on fire, Chin. You passed, mate. Don't bother coming next week. Yeah, I can imagine. Mine was the other way around. Yeah, mine's reversed. Oh, there we go. Martin's onto it. 2017. That's interesting. This could be the one you might need to. This one, here's one that relates to one of Martin's earlier posts. His comment on the flu. Okay, good man, Chin. I appreciate that. That's fantastic. And when you going for the hammer? Hope that's not targeted at me. That's gold. I might make a little note of that. All right, thank you. I'm so. There's no need to ask people, can you hear me? Generally, it is all downhill. Because if you look at the bottom, when you've got your microphone open, and those of you in the room here with me, you can see the microphone when it's open here, that it's moving up and down, indicating to you that there's a signal. That tells you your microphone's working. If your microphone looks like this, you see moving up and down in the icon where you're speaking, you know you're getting through. People can hear you. The people say I can't hear you, but you can see you've got a signal, then there's obviously something wrong there end with their stuff. And at the bottom there it said keep an eye on the text chat for comments. And as I said earlier, you decide and make it clear up front how you're going to handle questions, just in time when they arrive or after topic or whatever. Don't encourage him, Edwina. All right. What is the nature of the systems that I will provide to you to get you through this assessment? I'll upload your PowerPoint. So if you're using a PowerPoint in the virtual classroom, send it to me by the Monday before, so then I can upload them progressively. I will make you the moderator before your session, so that you'll have access to all those controls that you'll slavishly practice in the practice shell. I'll introduce you, and then I'll provide you with time checks that correspond roughly to the times I allowed on the template, but which you might stretch according to what emphasis you might want to put on activity 1 over activity 2, for example, or shorter icebreaker and longer summarising, whatever you kind of come up with. So I'll just pop them in the text chat like this to say, here we go, 2 minutes. I'll only intervene when you're having tech problems. So if you're struggling to forward the slide or application sharing, I won't be able to do for you. Or if you want me to run a poll or whatever, then I can kind of do that. Thanks, Martin, 7.5. And at the finish, one of the things in the assessment task is that you'll get feedback survey. You won't have to create that. I'll create that for you. And then I'll pop that link in after your session, give people a couple of minutes to go through and give feedback straight away. And then I'll collate that feedback and send it to you to help you with your final task. Will I be in the room with the presenter or the participants? Well, look, I think in the assessment task, I said you have to do it from home, but I think that's probably unreasonable. So I'll be here next week and we'll work out something. We'll turn the computer around. I think put the computer here so you're facing that way. Another room from here. I'll check with Maureen. You've got me anxiety. I got my blood pressure up now. Then I'll set up the next person's PowerPoint and then I'll repeat. So while the survey's going on, I'll look at the next PowerPoint ready, make the other person the moderator, and away we go. So when you get the opportunity to provide feedback, you've all had really great ideas just take that time to give some really good feedback to people. And it's really about improvement. How can it be improved? All right. So think about yourself, and this time take a square, and what support do you want me to give you specifically when you do this, when you do your session? So grab a square and draw around. Not want to change a color, so you've got a different color. You can do that on the color swab at the end. When you click on the square, you can then click on the color, and you've got about 3 or 4 colors you can use. And you're loving those, aren't you? And draw around the things that you want me to do. Okay. Click on the square, and then you can draw around it. Okay. Yeah, that's all good. Their competency is not about you being technically minded. It's about your capacity to facilitate in these classrooms. So if you want to do it on your own, that's fine. So what you have to do is just, so if people want me to paste in the video URL, you'll need to provide me with that information. So you need to send that to me the day before so I can organise that. The breakout room will be easy. You just need to prompt me. Michael, can you create the breakout rooms for me? And boom, I'll do it. Application sharing. If you want me to application share a website, you'll need to give me the link. But if it's software, you'll need to give me the file. So it might be easier if you do that from your own computer. But for websites, no problem. But you'll need to send me that information. Now somebody said, oh, something else, alcohol and Valium. Well, I'll tell you a story about that. Years ago, I was telling people before I got diagnosed with autoimmune disease, and I went to a very young doctor who didn't really know what he was doing, but he diagnosed me, that was the most important thing. So he put me on a dose of steroids, and you probably know that I'm a relatively fairly gentle kind of person, and so when I was teaching my vet and schools kids, I'd taken about a week's worth of these steroids, right? And it was a really hefty dose. I was already getting a bit angry, like someone would walk on the lawn. I actually opened the window up top of my studio and screamed at this guy to get off he was picking at my cypress tree, and I screamed at him, and I never do that. So anyway, this student came in, and he was a drummer, and he was a really nice kid. It's just that he was slack. And he's the guy who broke the record for me, because I discovered he had 50 simultaneous Facebook chat sessions happening at once, one day. Not this day, but another day. Anyway, he came in late and said, I haven't done my homework. And suddenly, I was in his face. I had a finger in his guts. Say, homework? You never do your bloody homework. Every week it's the same excuse. If you don't do your homework by the end of this bloody session, you won't pass that effing unit. Now get down and start studying. He just panicked. He worked really hard, and he finished his assessment task. And I thought, maybe I found the answer. You know, maybe this sort of, can you double the dose? But he took me off him. All right, so that's the thing. You provide me with, if you want me to paste stuff in, share a video, you send me that stuff. Otherwise, what you can do, and I've got these organised, I think, is you can do this yourself. Just that it does take a little bit of time. You can see you can tell I'm getting slower and slower as this session goes on. So I'll share my entire screen with you here. So you can get the Doctor Who feel. I've got a couple of examples here. Whoops. Must be that one. There we go. So hopefully you can see 3 examples on your screen. I'm carrying 5 while I'm doing this, so keeping the talk. The one over here, this one, these are just examples of like how you might prepare a web link, or a link to an online document. So I've got a link there to the evidence of participation document from ASQA. Got some good stuff about online in there. So you might put a little bit of a title up the top so students know what that is, and then you can kind of select that, and then you can copy it, and then you can paste it into the chat, and the link appears, so they can click on it and have a look at it. There's an example of a video. So if I select that and copy that. Then I paste that in, pop it in the text box. I'll do that in a minute. Then the video, when they click on it, will play. This second one is an example of a much longer session where there's a webinar around apps that students can use in literacy and numeracy classes. So it's kind of about that. So there's lots of apps in there. And so for each slide, I would just have some question. There's a question to put in a text box. So like, for an example, for something you might do with, you know, a breakout room or whatever. And so as I get to that slide, I'd copy that and drop it in. And then, of course, as you realise, once I got about slide 16, I'd forget to do it, and then have to go back and repeat it. And then this is an example here of one where I might be able to see that chat. No, I can't. This is an example of an instruction to breakout room. So that might be the question you're giving in the breakout room, and copy and paste that into there. So let's do a couple of examples. If I can do this. I'll stop sharing for a minute. Come back to the chat. And I can't see the chat when that's happening. Yeah, that's a good point, Zoe. If you click on that, that should open a new window and you should be able to watch it. This guy's one of the greatest overactors you'll ever see. But so if you click on that link, that video will play. And when that plays, it'll be hard to hear the facilitator because the audio of the video will be playing.
So if I want to want my video as part of my presentation,
yep.
I could drop it into the whole class and already sharing that screen.
They'll only see it when they click on it. They have to click on it and then it'll open. It doesn't actually open inside Collaborate. So that's part of the problem. It used to be able to share it within it. So there's a trick you need. So what you need to get people to do is when they watch the video, to give you an emoticon. Because everybody's going to finish for everybody at different times. So you need to tell them to do that. So that's the cue you've got to give them. All right, let's try another one. So I think here I said something about, this was one of these. It's going to be trippy, isn't it? This was a example of a question for, I'll put the one in the middle so it doesn't freak you out. Breakout room instruction. So this is what you do, you'd have that there, you'd copy it. You might be only need to want to copy one thing so you can load up your thing before you even start. Come back to your session. I'll see if I can do this, all right, because I'm not comfortable. This is breakout room. I'm going to put you into 2 groups. I'm going to randomly assign you. And I'll start. Sharing the video. Chin, as I said earlier, the problem with sharing the video, application sharing, is that it's a transmission of your screen rather than the video. So you don't get any audio with it, and the video ends up being kind of like that. Now I'll tell you a story about that. I use Quicken, which is like accounting system. And they had a really good program that they had on CD, and then somebody decided to put it up on a mirror site, and then that was their online system. But they didn't give it enough oomph. So when they launched it, people were waiting around for 10 hours, people were using it for point of sale. It could never get on, they were losing records. It was just kind of a bit of a disaster. So the best bet is to get people to use their own browser, and then they can hear it and all that sort of stuff in there. Now, what was I doing? Making you into... We're trying too hard to force me to the... Well, that's just the nature of it. I would say to that Chin, oh God, why do I see me or big? That the room has gone backwards since the room was taken over by Blackboard. It used to be called Illuminate, and unfortunately technology's gone backwards. But that's the only way that you think you're going to get it to work. And because if you show applications share it, it's going to be a bad experience, and you'll end up clogging up the wire. So yeah, drop it in. Now I'm going to make you all breakout roomies. I've done that, have I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's see. So I would visit you each. That's me, I think. I have to drag myself down into... How do I do this? Move to another group. There we go. So I'm in group 1 now, I think. I have to choose. Oh, how do I do this? I don't know what I'm doing here. This is good, isn't it? Join. There